Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to My Deep Guide. Well, it's here finally. I received it both on my Remarkable 1 and Remarkable 2. The update 2.10 is here and it brings two quite important things. So let's check them out, how they work and what we have now new on the Remarkable platform. Alright, and here it is, the release 2.10 finally is here. Now, as most of you already know, the major new thing with the release 2.10 is that they've added the ability to integrate additional services. In this case, we have integration of Google Drive and Dropbox directly into the main menu of the Remarkable. So you are supposed to be able to establish a connection with your Google Drive or Dropbox and get the files from it onto the device and from the device onto it as well, or them as well. But that's not the only thing. The other big thing that's also been added, slightly overshadowed by this one, but I think actually more important, is that you're able to now use share screen, the really good feature of the share screen, without using the Wi-Fi, because a lot of users have issues in sorting out the Wi-Fi to work, be it from their router configuration or their firewall configuration or anything like that. Now it's actually, or supposed to be possible, I haven't tested it yet, to just hook it up to your computer and start using it. So we will check that out in a second, but first let's focus on the integration feature of the release 2.10. Alright, so the very first thing you need to do is go to my.remarkable.com and go to integrations, because this is where you will enable all of the things that you need and add the integrations that you want, because yeah, you can add multiple ones. So first you accept all the stuff and then you slide down and you will actually see the plus buttons for Google Drive or Dropbox. So once you go through the whole thing, once you're finished logging in, giving permissions, you do the Google Drive naming, which is really cool because you can actually have several of them, so you can just name it how you want. And it's the same thing for the Dropbox as well, so you can just name it how you want it to. And once you're finished, it's really simple. You've enabled your integrations, they're listed here, and you're pretty much done. Once you've finished your integration process on your computer or on their website, and you've added your Dropbox or Google Drive, then they will appear automatically here. Now, for me personally, I didn't have to restart the device or anything like that. It's just one of the cloud services. So basically, yeah, as soon as that was added, these things were appearing here, but obviously your device has to be hooked up to the Wi-Fi and logged into the cloud, Remarkable Cloud account. Now the cool thing is that you can name these differently, you can add multiple Google Drive accounts, and you can add multiple different Dropbox accounts, which is really handy. So that part of the experience goes quite smoothly, for me at least, and I didn't have any issues. Once I have them hooked up, I can just simply tap on my Google Drive and I will be in the root of my Google Drive. Now you'll notice that right off the bat, it's not possible to establish an integration to a specific Google Drive folder if you so choose, or a specific Google or Dropbox folder. So that, I think, is a missed opportunity, because that's something that can be extremely useful in work environment. If I go now here, for example, to technical documents, you're gonna start noticing a couple of things. The first one is, maybe I have a ton of files here and I just want to see which one is which. Well, you can't. So the integration is made in such a way that you can just see the listing of it, but you're not allowed to open any of the files or preview them in any way before you move them onto the Remarkable platform. All you can do is basically create a multiple selection. Once you enter, as soon as you tap one of them, you will enter the multiple selection, and then you will select which ones you want, and then you will copy them. We'll get to the copying soon, but I just want to cover things first. While most of the files will be listed, only PDFs and EPUBs will be supported and are currently supported. So even though you are able to see PNG files, MP4 files, or anything like that, you won't be able to successfully copy them. So PDFs and EPUBs only. However, that basically leads me to one of the problems, which is you can see, let's switch to a grid view. There we go, a little bit larger. So if I had, for example, a situation like this, it's very difficult for me to understand which is a PDF file and which is an EPUB file unless they don't have a cover. So if they don't have a cover, I have a good indication: PDF, ebook. Great, that's great. But I can't see the extensions, so I can't see if is there's a .pdf or a .epub file. And fine, maybe you don't want to clutter everything, but then add just a ribbon on the side here so that we know that this is a PDF or that this is a ebook file, because maybe I have multiple copies of the same file or the same document. I want to get an EPUB or a PDF. In current configuration, that's impossible to know. You need to copy it and then you see it. I think it would have been far easier if we just had a simple ribbon here or an earmark that says PDF, earmark that says EPUB, and then you're done. So I think that's kind of a necessity. The next thing that's also a bit of a problem, the same thing applies for Dropbox as well. We'll check it out shortly. But for example, if I wanted to copy the entire folder from my Google Drive onto my Remarkable, you will notice that that's not possible. So I can long press, I can do whatever I want, it just doesn't matter. So the only way currently is to manually select all of them and then start copying your content over. Not a big drag, but certainly not something that's necessary. The bad news continues, which means that even if you're okay with not being able to discern what is a PDF file, what is an EPUB file, not being able to copy the entire folder, or not being able to preview or access files directly on your Google Drive or Dropbox, once you actually decide to copy things, that's where things become weird and not great. So yeah, I'll just show you. So basically the experience looks like this. You select, and let's select a couple of files. So let's do 3 files here. And what they tell you is to open this document, please copy it to my files. And the only thing that you have is copy. So okay, that's fair enough. And I press copy and it says copying to my files, and then it's going to go away, and that's it. So at the moment, I have no idea, no indication, is the copying operation still in progress? What is the status of the current copying process? Has it all been copied or not? Yes, I do have an upload icon here. Okay, that is the only indication that you have that something is happening. That to me is not good enough, because I have problems copying over really big files and I have no estimated time. I don't know if it has failed or not, and I had the cases where multiple copies would actually not transfer for really large files. Like this one, for example, I still wasn't able to copy it. The collected works of C.G. Jung, which is 800 megabytes. That one just, no matter how long I leave it, it just doesn't want to get copied. So that's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is, maybe you've already noticed, but as soon as I pressed copy, it didn't really ask me where do I want to copy my files to. It just went to copied to my files. Now, if you have an organization of your device and you like it to be organized, so here's the thing, I copied 3 files, right? Currently, I only see 2 of them, and I need to hope that the third one is still copying because it was larger, but I don't have any indication. I don't have an indication here or anywhere that an operation is still in progress. So I can just kind of hope, hey, maybe it will appear at some point. So if you're not in a hurry, and if it's not like an important document for you and it's not a work thing, sure, you can just press copy and then see if it copied, and if it didn't, you can copy again. But if this is for a more professional type of workflow, progress bar would be an absolute necessity. I mean, that's just the bare basics, the bare minimum. The other bare minimum is, please don't start dumping all of my files into the root, and let me be able to choose where do I want to copy my files. I can't believe that we have to talk about this thing and that this is actually a thing after beta testing and everything. This just blows my mind that somebody says like, yep, job done, this is good. How is this good? How can you say that this is okay, that you can just copy file and dump them all into the root and then you can reposition them? So for me, this is really not finished, and this needs some basic functionalities added to actually make it usable, such as progress previewing of files directly on the cloud to see which one it is, and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so we're still copying, right? Let's see if I go here and I go back. Has it finished copying? Nope, it didn't. Well, at least those that have copied, they are good. So you can open them and then you can access them normally. And once a file is on your Remarkable, you can use it as you normally would. So you can just multiple select and then I can move them into whatever I want to move them, or delete them or move to trash. So that part is okay, but there we go. Haha, it has appeared. So it's just seriously like what? Okay. Anyway, for me, seriously, this isn't finished. But as I mentioned, I never managed to copy that really large file. The 800 megabyte file never actually got transferred over this system, which is a problem. The second thing is that you are also able to now select your regular documents, any documents, and you can upload them to the same service, Google Drive or your Dropbox. However, one caveat here and one thing to know: the very first time when you actually do this, after you install all of this, and when the very first time when you long press a file, you won't have any of these options. You will only have like a tutorial tip thing and only the option to upload. Now for me this was kind of weird, because the first time I wanted to do this was when it transferred to my files. I wanted to move them to another folder. So I selected files and then it said like, oh, you can, now upload, but I didn't have options to move, trash, or favorite. It was only to do upload. So what you need to do is you have to view that tutorial tip, dismiss it, and then reselect again. Okay, not like that. Yeah, reselect again. And then you will have your normal toolbar on top and you will be able to move and things like that. So I can see this may be potentially confusing somebody. All you need to do is dismiss it, redo it again, and it will work. So now let's go back the other way around, which is uploading, right? So I can select all of these and then I can click on upload. It's going to ask me and it's going to list the integrations that I've added. So in this case, my Google Drive or my Dropbox. So let's say that I want to go to my Google Drive. Again, we have the same issue and I really can't believe this. Okay, your file was successfully uploaded. I guess this is the uploading progress bar, which is great. So we do have a progress indication for, let's see, is it done or no? They're refreshing. So I don't know if everything has been uploaded. I only there we go, another one. So you have some sort of notifications when the file is uploaded, so that's good, but we don't have any kind of progress indication, which would be a good idea. Like we had like a progress bar here for loading. That would be a perfectly adequate way of showing the uploading progress so that you know how much time it's going to take until this is finished. However, the problem is that, again, I didn't have an option to choose where do I want to upload my files. Now, that is a big problem because usually your Google Drive and your Dropbox are organized. I don't know of many people who just dump everything into the root and then hope for the best. Maybe it works for you. If that's the case, then sure, this will work. But for me, this is most definitely not good. And while it did move them here, so somewhere. All right, so I can see that it has uploaded the Unity guide and the geology of Mars, but I can't see the drawing of faces. There we go, drawing cartoon faces as well. Okay, so it managed to upload all 3 of them, but the problem is that it uploaded them to the root of your Google Drive, and coupled with the fact that I can't choose a dedicated folder on my Google Drive where to upload or anything like that, it just creates an inherent mess, which is completely unnecessary. And the same thing is for the Dropbox as well. So if you're in a Dropbox, exactly the same stuff applies. You can't choose where to download from Dropbox to your device or where to upload to your Dropbox. Definitely not ideal. So you do have the access to Dropbox and to Google Drive, which is an excellent addition. However, this functionality as it is right now, it's extremely limited and not complete, because in 2021, when you have an integration with these services, you have to have certain minimum requirements met, and this one doesn't meet these minimum requirements. And finally, I've also tested when you upload, because you are able to, for example, go to my notebooks and let's say maybe decide, I don't know what this was. There we go. That was something that I was writing. So if I decide to copy that, I can copy it and I can upload it to my Google Drive, but I can't choose where, right? So now the file has uploaded successfully. However, it uploads as a PDF. So while the PDF exported is there and it works, everything's fine as you would expect it to. So that's all good. The problem is that this is not a backup of your note or your notebook. This is an archive of your notebook, because if I were to now go back to my Remarkable, and here is the note, right? So I can select it and I can copy it over to my Remarkable. And let's say that you wanted to make a backup of your notebook and then you continue working on it, because for me, this would be one of the primary functions, especially with the limited space available on the Remarkable and the upcoming possibility or inevitability of the subscriptions coming. So this one, for me, would need to work like a backup service. And in this case, it is opened up as a PDF file, which means everything's fine. I can write here, that's okay, but I have my PDF limitations, which means I cannot add more pages and I cannot change my, I cannot delete the content, I can't change the templates or anything like that. So this is my kind of a problem with the platform, that you are not able to make a backup in a native format of the notebooks themselves. This was an absolute perfect opportunity, and it makes absolutely perfect sense to do this, to be able to simply back up your content away from their servers, away from anything like that, just onto your Google Drive or locally, it doesn't matter. I think it's something that's needed. However, at the moment, we do not have it. And finally, it's not possible to bypass the Remarkable cloud service. So my initial thought in my video when I was talking about the subscriptions, and when I was talking like, okay, this starts to make sense, because if you don't want to use a cloud subscription, then you can use this. So that part could work, but in a limited capacity, because the way this seems to be working is that you go to, let's say, Google Drive or a Dropbox. I'm just gonna call it DB, and I have my Remarkable 2 in this case, and here we have Remarkable Cloud. Remarkable 2 is constantly talking with the Remarkable Cloud. That's fine. What I was expecting the integration to do is actually give the device access to these accounts. Instead, there is no connection between the device and the drives. It's only your Remarkable Cloud account that is hooked up to the cloud. And then you basically say to the cloud, hey, give me these files, it transfers them to the Remarkable cloud or your account on the cloud, and then you fetch them to the device from your Remarkable account. So it's still not possible to do a direct connection to either of them, which will be an issue for IT departments and stuff, because you're still having this kind of main thing happening as your hub. All right, so I got my laptop here. It's been turned to airplane mode, so it's offline as well. There we go, flight mode on both of them, so no connection to the internet. Got my USB cable, and the instructions say hook it up to your PC via a USB cable and follow the instructions in the app. Well, so far I'm not getting any instructions, but maybe that's because I'm not sharing anything yet. All right, so for that to start working, let's open up a new notebook. Let's make it, this one works. So we're gonna create it in a landscape format so that it works okay-ish. Does this fit into the frame? Kind of, there we go. And now I need to initialize the screen share mode. So present with screen share. Connect to app. Accept connection in the desktop app. Well, maybe. So got our USBs connected. And let's try and present again. Connect to app. There we go. Now it works. Cool. So we are offline. We are offline on both of them. Now it is presenting, and the performance is the same, or maybe even a smidge faster. Either way, it works. So I think it was maybe just my USB was unplugged or something. So maybe that was the thing, because I noticed it was just a little bit unplugged. So maybe I'm inclined to say that that was the problem. So let's see if it works now that I can close this and then open up another document. Will it continue to screen share? Absolutely. And it just works as you would expect it to work. So let's see here, the speed, zooming in, everything seems to be working really good. Okay, so definitely one of the most important features here is that this one definitely works, and now the screen share does not require any kind of internet connection on either of the devices. So finally we have the ability to do this and to bypass any kind of cloud services or anything like that, which I think is a major improvement. Well, there you go. I just want to say that I love the option that we have now, internet-free screen sharing capabilities just via a cable, which is something that is very helpful in many situations, especially for people who had issues overcoming the modem, router, or their firewall issues to establish a connection. This should most definitely work. Now, as for the Google Drive and Dropbox integration, I'm not sold. I really am not sold on that. I like the idea, don't get me wrong. I think it's going to be, it's a very helpful thing to have and kind of necessary if you take into consideration a longer term picture of things. But the way this has been implemented is not sufficient. So this lacks some really basic functionalities, and it has so many limitations that I really don't like it. So yes, it does function, but does it work for me as a feature, as a finished thing that's released to the general public? Absolutely not, because it simply lacks way too many basic things to make it a new feature that just works. It would have taken just a little bit more effort and kind of foresight to make these things just kind of work, like pick the folder, be able to preview the file. So even if it goes via the Remarkable Cloud, you can load the file into the Remarkable Cloud and then display it as a temporary file. When you close it, you delete the file from the Remarkable. I mean, there's so many ways that you can do this easily, and the notifications as well. It's really, really simple. Just make, I don't know, there's a billion ways that you can do this, but they are necessary because you just don't have an overview over what's going on. And if distraction free is the name of the game, I find it extremely distracting that I have to look for my files, wonder, have they transferred or not? What's the status of the file transferring or not? Why can't I move it into a directory that I want, or where my files are going to end? Or are my notebooks actually backed up as notebooks or as PDFs, so that they're basically just an archive, which is still a very useful feature, but not a complete one. To summarize the integration part of the update 2.10, I think that it's an interesting move in an interesting direction, but as it is now, this is not a complete solution. Let me know what you guys think and what kind of things you would like to see in the upcoming updates as far as the Remarkable goes. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye!